Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Shell and I'm losing weight using the Slimming Wheel plan. It's been very wintry this week, so we've definitely gone back from salads every day to pretty much stews, casseroles and soups every day, which has been really nice. It's been lovely to get back to that. I showed you last week my new pressure cooker, which is a Swan stovetop, a small one that just makes enough really for 3 meals, and I used it for the first time this week and I did have a bit of a disaster. It was my own fault because I didn't read the manual. I thought I know how to use pressure cookers, and it wasn't quite the same as my other ones, so I ended up with something that was raw and burned at the same time. But we ate it and it was okay, but it was a bit disappointing, so I'm going to have another go this week. I won't be put off because my favourite big pressure cooker now that I use all the time, the first time I used that I had a disaster, and ever since then it's been brilliant. So we use these things, you get something new and you learn. I may actually read the manual before I try it again. But I went back to the Instant Pot, which is my trusty kitchen gadget. I know a lot of people put in the comments below last week that they had Instant Pots and use them all the time, and I do love my Instant Pot. So I made a casserole in there. I used one of the mixes that we like. We used lots of different ones. You can get chili ones, curry ones, sausage casserole, beef casserole, and they usually work out about 4 to 6 sins, and you can get about 4 meals out of them, and they're very tasty. We use them all the time. The other thing I always use is barley. There's something lost, I feel, when you don't fry things first in oil. There's something to do with the liquid, the mouthfeel, it's not as creamy. Now, if you put a handful of barley, whether that's pearl barley or pot barley, in with your casserole, the way it cooks, it gives off something, I don't know whether it's the starch, but it gives off something into the liquid that gives you that creamy, kind of oily mouthfeel that's often missing from casseroles when you're just using water. So we do that all the time, and if you haven't tried it, give it a go and you'll notice a difference straight away. You only need a handful. The other thing we've been using a lot recently is Aquafaba, and we've been using it to make Slimming Wheel chips. It's the liquid that you get when you pour from your chickpeas or red kidney beans, and you normally pour it down the sink. If you save it, boil your potatoes, roll them round in the liquid, and then dip them in some kind of seasonings, bought or your own, and put them in the air fryer. They are gorgeous, really, really nice. It gives you that sort of skin chips with a, makes the seasoning stick to them, really luxurious. Because I've been using ordinary oil and skinning it up until now, I've not been keen on the fry light. I don't like what it does to my kitchenware, and it worries me that if it does that to the kitchenware, what is it doing to my insides? Could be completely wrong, but I find it a bit off-putting. So give that a go, and what I'd like to know as well is if you use Aquafaba for anything else, what do you use it for? Because I've only used it for Slimming Wheel chips so far, and the difference it's made to how I feel about the chips has been, it's been mind-blowing. It's an absolute game changer. It's lovely. If you haven't got the liquid from a tin of beans, you can buy Aquafaba in a small carton. I'm not sure how big it is. It's only about, I don't know, 100 mils, 200 mils. It's a little carton. The one I buy is made by OGGS. But we use so many beans from tins and jars that it's we've usually got some hanging round. And I do save it. Sometimes I save it and I don't use it, so I just pour it away. But as I would normally have poured it away anyway, it doesn't really matter. But the OGGS one, I'll put a link in the description below to Sainsburys. But I think nearly every shop sells it. So let me know. I mean, perhaps it would go nice on tofu. Roll the tofu around in it and then dip it in. I bet Byron and Nikki will have some ideas. I'm sure they will have used it before. So let me know. I went to group on Tuesday, and this week I'd lost £1, which I was so pleased with. Moving away from salads, which we normally have every day, to the stews. I wasn't sure if perhaps I might have put on, because they are heavier foods and it's heavier in your tummy. And also this week I went in my winter clothes. I know some of the ladies there still go in the summer clothes with their tops on and take them off and get weighed, but I just think, well, I'll just go and bite the bullet one day and go in the heavier jeans and a jumper, and you know, it's only 1 week, so if it's not a loss then I'll know why, and then for the rest of the winter I'll be in those clothes until the summer comes. It's nice when the summer comes because you go into the lighter clothes and you might end up with a loss that week that you wouldn't have had. So I was pleased to lose £1. My starting weight in March, nearly 6 months ago now, was 11 stone 9.5, and now I'm down to 8 stone 11.5. So 2 stone 12 loss now. Just £2 until I get my 3 stone award, and also just £3.5 until I've lost 5 stones overall in my entire weight loss journey, which started quite a while before I went to Slimming World this time. I'm so pleased with my progress, and I would like to get my 3 stone award within the 6 months, which gives me another couple of weeks, but if I don't make that, it doesn't really matter. I'm not sure where my target is going to be, but I have a feeling that I am in the last stone now of my weight loss journey. I'm struggling a little bit at group because the group has changed so much in the last fortnight that it just doesn't feel the same group anymore. We've always had the same 10 to 15 members since March. A few have come and gone, or not been there for a week or two and then come back, but it's always been the same ones. Everyone sits in the same place, so I know where everybody is and I know something enough about each person to talk to them. But the last couple of weeks we've had a massive influx of new members. I think some came with our new consultant, and there are some returning members and some new members. I think it's because the schools have gone back and people are thinking, right, school's back, we've got between now and Christmas to lose some weight. And I think that's why we've had so many returning members, but it has meant that the class has doubled in size. And because a lot of the newer members came in, and obviously they just came in and sat down, that meant that the normal members that I'm used to weren't sitting where I knew where they were, and actually where I was sitting I was surrounded by new members and all the people that I knew were on the other side of the room. But I just felt it difficult because everybody seemed to be in groups and I didn't know anybody to talk to, so for the half hour leading up to when the consultant stands up, I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't feel I could talk to the people near me because I didn't know them. And it's also quite strange now with the new format, because when you used to go around the room, I would get to know people, I'd get to know their voices and who was who. But because we don't do that now, a lot of the new members haven't spoken yet. Or when they do speak up later on, of course, they're not saying who they are. They're not standing up and saying, "No, this is Kim. I want to say about speed food." So everybody's talking, and I don't know who they are. So I am struggling. I've never liked big groups either. I've always preferred a small group. So I'm not sure what to do, really. I mean, it's good for Slimming World. I'm very pleased that the group has doubled in size because it's good for the long-term effects on the group, and it means our consultant's got a good class as well. And she is very nice, the new consultant Amanda. She's lovely, and she gave a very, very good talk on speed food this week. But I am personally struggling a little bit, so I don't know whether to perhaps start going later on, so I'm not sitting there for the half hour. I may start going closer to the end of weighing time, so that I'm pretty much sitting down and the group talk is starting, because I felt really, I don't know, I felt a bit lost, and I felt a bit uncomfortable because I was sort of just sitting there and everybody else around me seemed to be in groups talking, and I just felt a bit out of it really. So I don't know what to do about that. I do want to carry on going to my group and I do like it. I don't want to change group. So I think I'll just see how it goes, and perhaps I will get to know a few people as time goes on. But anyway, that's how I'm feeling about group at the minute. I definitely want to keep going. I'd like to keep going at least until the end of the year, just because I worry about Christmas. I've always struggled at Christmas, so I do want to keep going at least until into January, I would think. So that's been my week. On the exercise front, I had to stop doing the Couch to 5k because my knees really suffered. This week I've been walking and it was quite painful for the first few days. Now everything's okay, but next week I'm going to return to the Couch to 5k, but I'm going to start much further back. So I'm going to be starting at maybe 30 seconds or even just a minute each time, and see how I go with that. And if that works out okay, then I'll increase it a little bit more each week. But certainly the 7 minutes outright beginners Couch to 5k is too much for me. Physically I was fine. I could have done it. If my knees had held up, I could have really been ahead this week, but no, I'm going to have to start further back. So it might take me 11 months instead of 11 weeks, but that's fine. I can do that. But I'm not giving up, and I'm looking forward to getting back to it this week. So I know Byron's been forging ahead, but he's only a young pup. So he's got a lot more energy and better knees than me, and I know he's been enjoying it very much. So he's a great encouragement to me to carry on and find a way to make it work, even though it might be slower. I hope everybody else has had a nice week. Let me know how you've got on. Drop down in the comments below if you've lost or if you've maintained. Even if you've had a gain, everybody has a gain from time to time. Nobody goes through and never has a gain. And I think a lot of people this week have, like me, moved on to the heavier foods as well. Also let me know if you've got any ideas with the Aquafaba, what you do with it, any tips. And other than that, I shall see you next week, and I hope that you see less of me. Take care then. Bye!